What's up, everyone? Welcome to Pat's Chat. I'm Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, it's Thursday night. How are you doing?
Did you see Santa Claus tonight?
I did see Santa Claus tonight,
How's he
actually.
doing?
He was good. He was a silly guy, actually.
Okay,
Olivia's missing a front tooth right now, and he told Olivia to draw a picture of a tooth and tape it in her mouth for all of her Christmas pictures this year. Just a
that's
silly
clever.
request from Santa Claus. Yeah.
That's clever. Not to bag on Santa, but you
Yeah.
mentioned he was a silly one. We went the Burlington Mall famously for decades had a great Santa.
Hmm.
Not sure what happened to him. He's either moved on to the North Pole in the sky. I honestly don't know. He's an older gentleman. But the new Santa there, not very friendly. Just gonna say it. Maybe last
Mm.
year we went and he was like, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "Dude, it's a ho ho ho. Merry Christmas."
Hey, how are you? How are you?
Yeah.
Merry
Hi,
Christmas.
I'm Jim. What's going on, kids? Very, very jarring to get a just a guy Santa.
Yeah, I've seen some of those before, but this one was the real Santa. So go to Southwick Zoo, and there you go.
Nice,
That's the answer.
nice.
Um, yeah, the Patriots play a game this weekend against the Buffalo Bills. I believe the line is 14 points.
Thereabouts.
I'd still probably go with the Bills in this one.
Yeah, I mean the only way you'd say the Patriots cover is if no, I don't. There's no reason. I mean, things happen in sports. That's
I
your only
know,
reason.
I know, and
Uh,
like yeah, crazy
barring
stuff happens. It's gonna be really cold.
stuff that would need like you would need a kick return to go for you, which I don't think the Patriots would even come close to breaking a kick return. You would need a pick six or a fumble, scoop and score, and then just sort of a disinterested Bills team that's kind of going through the motions and playing at half speed for the Patriots to cut it to 14, and that's an edge you don't want to live on. So
Yeah.
there's our Patriots Bills preview.
No, we'll get more into it later. But while we are talking, it appears that Marcus Jones probably isn't going to play in this game. Like I said, it's Thursday. He wasn't at practice Wednesday, wasn't at practice Thursday. I don't know if you saw Chris Mason's tweet from earlier in the week, but Marcus Jones got absolutely smoked on the onside kick. And it seems like that's probably the cause of his hip injury because I don't believe he appeared in the game after that. So if anyone was wondering when that happened, it was probably during the onside kick, which is unfortunate that happened. But yeah, it did.
That would make it even harder for them to break a kick return.
Well, not for a kick return, but certainly for a
Well,
punt return.
in the kicking game,
Yeah.
break a return, that would be more difficult. I'm looking it up now. I want to see him get slammed, and I will give you the prognosis. A lot of tweets here, Chris Mason. Oh, here it
Chris
is.
Mason, big
Tweet
tweeter.
much, tweet much, buddy. All right, there's the kick. It's in the air. Yeah, he got cracked pretty good, right in the
Yeah.
shoulder, face.
They're calling it a hip.
Usually it's the hands team that gets hit, not the recovery team.
Yeah, I know.
That was a
But
nail hammer situation there.
he got smoked by the nail on that one.
I'll be honest. I hadn't given this. I had only been looking at Schooler on the play.
Yeah.
Kind of a lame ass onside kick attempt.
I mean, aren't they all at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. Bad one. All right. Well, that would be bad because he was one of my few positives out of that game. Just his effort
Yeah.
and tenacity, like the way he's been playing. That's not going to help if he's not in.
We don't need to get into this much, but it is kind of lame that the NFL like kind of took out the onside kick. Like, why do you have to declare now? What was the reason behind it? Oh, I guess because of the new
nobody's
kickoff
there.
rule. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a kicker just kicking it 10 yards.
I really don't like the idea of like 4th and 30, and that's how you can get the ball back because that's just, I think we've probably talked about it before, but it feels unfootball-y to me.
Yeah.
Like an onside kick was like a crazy strategy that someone came up with at some point. It's not like it was like, it's not a different play, you know?
Right. I do think though people go overboard with the like, oh, you have to declare it now. It takes all the fun away. It's like it takes the surprise away, but in a kick where a team is down 2 scores late, you didn't have to announce it before, but everyone knew there would be an
Right.
onside
Most
kick.
people kind of knew.
So yeah, you lose the element of surprise with some of these, which happen, I don't know, 4 times a year across the entire league. I get that it happened in the Super Bowl once, so we all sort of glorify it, but
Yeah.
I think it's sort of overstated that you have to announce it. But there had been rules over the past few years that made them less and less successful based on
Yeah,
patients and because of collisions like Marcus Jones getting absolutely obliterated.
it's true.
I don't know. I don't know. There should be something, but I remember asking, I think it was Jason McCourty when it was first being bandied about the play. It's like, oh, would you like that opportunity, to as a defender, be like, all right, this is it. And he was like, no. I was like, oh. He was like, that would be stupid. I was like, fair enough.
I mean, because you don't need something like that at the end of a game. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like if you are going to remove something from a sport like the onside kick, then yeah, maybe something could replace. Let's not get too deep into this.
No, let's do no. I got one.
Let's do
Ready?
an
You want
hour
the ball back.
on onside kicks? Yeah.
No defense, 75-yard field goal attempt. If you get it, you get a point and the ball.
Wow. Okay. That's something. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, honestly, not even. What it should be is on the kickoff, if you can kick it through the uprights.
They can do that now, though.
Yeah. I guess it would have to be way further back.
How about this? Someone gets it into my brain how the new kickoff rules work because it's been a whole season, and I'm still always kind of like, if there's a penalty in the landing zone and the touchback, I'm always just like, they'll figure it out. They'll put the ball somewhere, and then I will start watching.
And then something will happen. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the goings on down at Gillette because I do think that they're pretty interesting. And the first one I want to talk about, I sent you this little outline. Alex Van Pelt said that he has not had a conversation with the Crafts since they were shown on CBS, pretty obviously criticizing the offensive play calling. I don't think that's a good thing.
I mean, that shows there's no relationship.
Not only that, because he said that he's had like conversations in the hall with them, but like when Mayo made the mistake in his press conference after the game, saying you said it, I didn't.
He didn't make an error. Phil said it. Phil made the error.
That's true. Phil said it. He went up to AVP Monday morning before Mayo even spoke to us to like clear the air and say like, hey, claimed he didn't meant what he said. We'll get into that a little bit later. The Crafts were shown on TV looking very upset about the offense. And then according to lip readers, always want to throw that in there, Robert Kraft said it's the offensive play calling, and Jonathan Kraft said it was terrible, horrible, something like that. You would think that if you're the owner of a team, you're the boss, and you're caught on camera talking about one of your coaches in a negative manner, that you would want to go up to that coach and clear the air or say something or be like, listen, we're just being fans or whatever it is. To just not do that at all, it feels bad, right?
Yeah, it would feel, if I'm on either side of that situation, if I'm Van Pelt or if I'm Jonathan Kraft, I want to address it with the person involved.
Right.
Unless I am Jonathan Kraft and I'm going to fire him.
But it didn't happen this week. So
yeah.
And I guess like if they don't see each other enough, then it's not that awkward, but still.
I have this device here. It's made by Apple computers. You can text on it, you can call on it, you can FaceTime on it if you're a weirdo and you like to impose in people's space. And that is an effective tool of communication. You don't need to happenstance run into someone in the hallway. That's if I'm Van Pelt, I'm saying, hey man, what's up? Is there a problem? Like, do
you think Alex Van Pelt has their phone numbers?
I think he could manage. It's in the directory somewhere. He could get some number.
It's in the black
talk. And then if you're Jonathan Kraft and you didn't mean it, if it was just a moment of, football fan rage, you call up like, listen, this is going around. It's on the internet. It's everywhere. Someone will probably ask you about it. I was mad that we lost 5 yards on a running play.
I'm not going to blame Alex Van Pelt on this one. I'm not going to leave it up to him.
I'm
not going to leave it up to him to get in contact with the owners of the team. That feels like
I'm not putting blame. It's just, wouldn't you want to call them?
I would want to, but I don't know if I would feel like I could,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just wanted to bring it like,
hey man,
it doesn't feel good.
You're strong enough. You're big enough and people like you. All right. Sometimes you got to stick up for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would say that we talked about before, but like Sunday was real bad for Alex Van Pelt between the crafts, saying what they said on TV, Jerod Mayo after the game, Keishon Boutte
Between
after the game, which
a
Keishon Boutte did apologize to Alex Van Pelt. Jerod Mayo apologized to Alex Van Pelt.
That's
Nothing
great.
from the crafts, apparently.
I would throw in the 10 for 10 for 71 yards for the quarterback in the first half.
0 for 6 on third down. Not great. Not moving the ball really until the end of the game. But I mean, we probably talked about this before, but like, I don't know, out of all the top guys, at least he can like say that the offense is getting better. At least he can say that he's helping develop Drake Maye. Like, at least there's something there.
And he's legitimately working with a hand tied behind his back with how bad the offensive line is. Like,
Right.
It's truly unworkable.
Yeah.
And they have had flashes of competency and excitement, which
Right.
is about, like, legitimately, if we were to break this down, like, that's about all you could have expected and hoped for from the offense.
Right.
Probably a little more consistency, more points, better red zone, better execution, third down, things like that. But overall, I'm not overwhelmed by how putrid the offense is, right?
No,
It's
because they've gotten better. And there's a case to be made for Alex Van Pelt and Scott Peters and the rest of the offensive line coaches that like guys like DeMontre Jacobs and Layden Robinson maybe and Ben Brown, certainly Ben Brown, like DeMontre Jacobs and Ben Brown are the two best examples, probably playing about as well as you could possibly expect, given that one guy was cut in August and claimed off waivers. The other one was signed off a practice squad in October or whatever it was. Like ideal situation is probably how those guys are playing right now.
Michael Jordan, I'd throw him in before he got released.
Right. And Vidarian Lowe, before he hurt his shoulder, I think you could probably throw in there too. His play is certainly diminished since he's had the shoulder injury.
The only underperformer would be Nick Leverett, I suppose. And
sure, who's playing out of position though too.
And Chuks Okorafor, who quit the sport.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, it's I'm not going to sit here and be like, wow, Van Pelt's incredible, but you're right.
No.
That's the stronger aspect of the team this year, even more than special teams. Right? Like they have been the better of the three units.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel great that it feels like he's the one being scapegoated the most. But I will say that, like, since Mayo's comment after the game, you said it, I didn't. I do think more attention has been turned into this conversation of like, I don't know if it's the offense. Like, I don't know if that's what we should be worrying about. And so I know once again, we talked about this, but Jerod Mayo said on Monday that he was being defensive, that he didn't mean anything by it. Alex Van Pelt this morning said that, yeah, Jerod Mayo cleared the air. I believe him. But it's like, okay, Alex Van Pelt saying the right thing. Jerod Mayo basically had to say what he said, but like, in what other situation this year has Jerod Mayo said anything like that? Like, and it didn't feel like a defensive response. He wasn't being defensive. He was agreeing with what Phil said.
Right. Well, yeah,
like it's not like he said that he didn't want to get into specific play calls. Like, he would say that. I don't understand how the defense of it when, like, he said, you said it, I didn't. That's agreeing with him. That's not saying like, I don't want to talk about that specific play call. I don't know. I just feel like I'm kind of being gaslit to a certain degree about it. And I am kind of glad, and maybe I'm just listening to the wrong people, but I'm kind of glad that everyone's just been like, no, we're not gonna agree with that. Like, that's not what he meant.
Well,
and everyone's just like continuing to go forward with being like, no, he threw Alex Van Pelt under the bus, because that's what it feels like.
Did yesterday's comment turn into anything where he was asked why the defense isn't any good? And he said, well, I'm not going to get into the players, so we got to execute better. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What was that defensive? Like, I don't know. I think by defensive, he means like he lost and he was upset, because he has had emotional
kind of
not outbursts, but he's, said they should feel like crap today after one loss. He said, we're soft after another loss. And he said, you said it, not me. So I think after losses, maybe he's emotional in that sense. Maybe that's what he means.
I guess. But like, to me, the team played soft feels differently than you said it, I didn't. And like, and it would be one thing if he said like, yeah, I was pissed and I thought we should have run the ball. I don't know. I don't like the idea that we're just all supposed to be like, oh yeah, no, he didn't mean that he threw. Like, it just seemed very obvious at the time that that's what he was saying, whether it was Alex Van Pelt or whoever else. Because and even like Alex Van Pelt said today that, and we'll get into this now, but like he said today that they would be more willing to run Drake Maye if it was like 3rd and 2 and the playoffs were on the line. So he's saying that they want to protect Drake Maye. He's saying that they don't necessarily want to put him in danger, that they want to keep him on the field so they can keep developing him. These are all things that make sense to me. But like Alex Van Pelt is saying that he doesn't necessarily want to put Drake Maye in danger in those situations. So that also lends credence to maybe Jerod Mayo doesn't agree with that and his hands are tied. I don't know.
Right. It goes back to what does Jerod Mayo do?
Right.
You know, because he is the head coach. And ultimately it all falls on me, he likes to say.
Yes.
Well, if you want Drake Maye running, then you make Drake Maye run. It's that simple. So the delegation of power is strange in that if we know that coaches, their jobs are always at stake, right?
Right.
Alex Van Pelt, it would behoove him to use Drake Maye in as many ways as possible.
That's the thing. Yeah. Right.
And not preserve him from taking unnecessary hits to the shoulders and ribs and knees and everything like that. So that answer would say to me, someone else has the interest of Drake Maye in the long-term health and development of him in mind and is thus making decisions and telling Alex Van Pelt how to use him.
It's possible.
And is that Mayo? Is that an ownership? Is that front office? I don't know. But if he's saying I would use him if the games are more important, that is saying I'm not allowed to use him fully. Unless he's just really, really nice.
I mean, maybe I'm the fool here because that was kind of my initial thought of like Alex Van Pelt's job is on the line. He should want the offense to be as good as possible. And I was like, maybe he really is putting the development of Drake Maye first and foremost. And I will say that like for Alex Van Pelt, he knows enough people in the league that he's not going to be without a job if he gets fired from the Patriots. Maybe he won't be an offensive coordinator, but like he'll go somewhere. He'll land on his feet. I'm not sure if the same thing can be said about every member of this Patriots coaching staff. So maybe he was just told like, hey, your number one job is to develop Drake Maye. And he's saying, all right, well, if we run QB power, he could get hurt. So let's not do that. Let's keep him on the field and develop him. Or like you said, it could be someone higher up making those decisions.
I don't know. But yeah. If I was there and I had the risk of losing my job and I had the owner on TV screaming how bad I am at my job, I would run Drake Maye on 3rd and 2.
Yeah. I mean, moving forward, I would. It's like, okay, well, if my job's on the line, like if you guys are going to call it the offensive play calling, then I'll use everything at my disposal. Drake Maye, run. Yeah.
I think it's just underlying dysfunction. Yeah. Just with most things.
I did want to talk about some comments that DeMarcus Covington made today.
All right. I just want to tell you something first.
Yeah.
I remembered the third thing that I was going to bring up today.
Oh, do you want to do it now so you don't forget again?
Yeah, quick. It's quick.
Hell yeah.
So I watched the 4-part documentary on Madden. That's on Prime Video.
Oh.
Pretty good. Like too long, obviously. You don't need 4 episodes of it.
No.
Like the first one really captured enough. But you did have 4 episodes, and they did the highs and the lows and the mistakes and the successes. They didn't get into the 06, 07 passing cone era. And I'm like, I want to know who invented that, who approved it, why it happened, because nothing was worse in my lifetime for Madden than the freaking passing cone.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah,
that was a big miss by the Madden documentary creators.
Absolutely. Well, maybe I'll check that out if I have time for a 4-part documentary at any time soon. I certainly don't on my flight to Buffalo. That's only about an hour and a half. I don't think the documentary is an hour and a half.
You could check out an ep or two.
Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. But DeMarcus Covington. DeMarcus Covington does have a bit of like a Bill assistant to him when he speaks, which makes sense. He was a Bill assistant for a long time. He doesn't reveal as much as Alex Van Pelt does. he isn't as transparent as Alex Van Pelt is. In general, he's not as good of a quote as Alex Van Pelt is. But DeMarcus Covington was asked about the defense and working on fundamentals. And I will read this quote. We work those fundamentals every day. And we'll continue to work on it. And I'm proud of the way those guys show up to work every day. And you guys should be proud of those guys, the way they show up to work every day. They're trying to play out there and play hard and improve and finish. I might just be like a crap bag, but I don't really like, as a media member, being told what I should think. And maybe that's what kind of raised the red flag on this in general.
That's like some college BS.
It is, but I also, after hearing this, I was like, is he talking to us or is he talking to the fans?
Well, you were in the room and the fans weren't, so I would say he's talking to you.
I assumed he was talking to us, but sometimes coaches say that they speak to the media as a way to get across to the fans. It felt like he was speaking to us. I don't think anyone needs to be proud of the Patriots defensive players this season.
They're trying.
I'm sure they're trying.
I coached my middle daughter's softball team in the spring.
Yeah.
7 and 8-year-old girls. And that's something I would say to them. Like, you showed up, you paid attention part of the time. You learned to play the game a little bit. You didn't cry that much. It was good. You should be proud of yourself. As a child,
have a question. How much are they paid?
We pay, actually. We pay to play.
You pay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Not professionals.
And they're like average age 25 or so?
7.
Oh, 7.
Okay. Maybe 8. But yeah, that's something that you say.
And they're professionals? Are they professionals?
Not at softball.
Okay.
I can't speak to anything else. But yeah, that's like, they're trying. It's the NFL.
You should be proud. It's just so, I don't know. It is what it is. He's a younger coach. He's inexperienced with the media, but this isn't the first time this has happened. He also told us what we should be writing about Christian Barmore when he came back, which we can talk about that. Christian Barmore back on the non-football list. Sad situation. Obviously wants to play. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it was another situation where he's kind of telling us how we should think or how we should feel. And it's I don't know. We're a bunch of adults. I don't know. And I don't need to be proud of the Patriots.
You don't. I agree.
They're underperforming.
Yes.
They were a top, in EPA per play. Obviously, this is not consistent year to year. During the Steve Belichick play calling era from 2019 to 2023, the Patriots were first in EPA per play allowed. First, number one. They were the best defense in the NFL in that 5-season stretch or 4-season stretch, whatever it is, 5 seasons in EPA per play. The Patriots are 30th this season. And if you only look at last season and this season, the Patriots, I believe, were 8th in EPA per play last year, and they are 30th this year. And yes, they've dealt with injuries. Barmore's out for most of the year. Pepper's out for half the year. Bentley's been out for most of the year. Still doesn't excuse that drop off from 8th to 30th. I don't want to hear the excuse I hear the most of the Patriots are in the 20s until the end of the season when they played a bunch of backup quarterbacks and bad offenses, and then they shot up in the top 10. Because that is to say that the Patriots have played all good offenses this season, which is 1,000% not true.
They lost to Mason Rudolph.
Yes, they played the Titans. They played the Jaguars. They've played some very bad teams this year and lost to some very bad teams this year. And they're still 30th. So I don't really want to hear it. I don't really want to hear any excuses for why the Patriots are as bad as they are on defense this year. And I definitely don't need to feel proud of them or applaud them for their effort this season.
Yeah, but if you take away all of the positive plays that the other teams had, the defense played pretty well. So, yeah, I don't know how beneficial it is for a coach to go publicly flog themselves in front of the media and just say, I don't know what to tell you, I'm a failure. But there doesn't seem to be a level of accountability with that staff. And we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
During the Belichick era, we're used to ultimately that falls on me. I'm the head coach, blah, blah, blah. And even if it was just boilerplate stock answers, at least it was consistent. I think we're learning that when you freestyle, in any answer other than we have to be better. It's not acceptable. It doesn't come out well.
No. And I think at least when Jerod says the things that he does, like at least he's revealing how he feels, like he's revealing actual thought. Like in Covington's case, and once again, like I said, he's a young coach. He hasn't been doing this for that long. Also, probably elevated to defensive coordinator a little bit too soon based on the results this year. He's just not as experienced, and he kind of talks himself into circles. And the other one that I want to point out was he was asked to boil down the defense's issues since they've historically been a top 10 unit. This answer is a little bit long. I'll start off. Yeah, I would say every year is different. Every defense is different. So that's kind of how I look at it. Like I wouldn't read too much into it. So for us, we're just trying to do the best we can every week as the coaching staff, as players. And I think the players are working hard, trying to do what we ask them to do. So I look at each year being different. So like what you did last year, what you did previous years, every year is different. So that's kind of how I look at it. I literally could not believe he said, I wouldn't read too much into it.
Well, that's because you wanted to read too much into it.
But like, I wouldn't read too much into the fact that they've historically been top 10 and this year they're 30th. Like, I wouldn't read too much into it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can understand not wanting us to read too much into it because that would reflect poorly on his players, on his coaching and on the staff. But like, you kind of have to read a lot into it. You can't just like be like, oh, this year was a wash. Let's see what happens next year. Like, and then as the final question, I said, you said I wouldn't read too much into it. What did you mean by that? And he said, I look at what we do week to week. So that's what I look at. I look at what we do week to week and how we can win the game. And so that's kind of how I look at it. So trying to get a W. That's how I look at it. I'm trying to get a W. That's the most important thing to me is winning. I don't know.
Okay,
I mean, it speaks for itself.
You could take a stance of being like, well, stats are stats. You know, it's about football. It's about much more than that. If you look at a coach's bio on the Patriots website, like, for example, DeMarcus Covington, all it talks about is stats. The Patriots defense finished in the top 10 in 4 of his 5 seasons as a position coach. Last season, the Patriots defense finished 4th against the run. The team's best finish since blah, 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 since 2016. The Patriots defense allowed 3.3 yards per rush, the lowest in the NFL and the lowest mark for the Patriots since the 1970 merger. It's like these are the things that track success and failure, and it's used to prop up a person's bio. You have to be front-facing at least when the results are the complete opposite. You have to be like, it's been a bad year. We have to reevaluate. But right now we have to win this week, and we'll reevaluate when the season's over. Look, I just did it. Yeah. It wasn't that hard. What we've done this year has not been good enough.
Right.
We will try to look at that big picture in a few weeks. For now, we have a game to play. Right. Media training. You're welcome. Free consultant.
Get in touch with Michael Hurley if you're listening. And
I will get in touch with the owner who was seen on TV berating the offensive coordinator.
What if this week, when there's like a bad offensive series, they're like, it's the Pats Chat podcast. And then Jonathan Kraft says, Pats Chat podcast is terrible.
Absolutely sucks.
Would you try to get in touch? Would you say, hey, what was that about?
He's not my boss. So I don't think I might try to get in touch for funsies, but not for any real reason. Maybe I should. What else am I doing? Yeah, I think it would be wise to. They probably never. That's interesting because a lot of teams. I know there's like a rookie symposium for all rookies, and there's media training. The Patriots media training for players and coaches was always do what Bill tells you to do, which is mostly don't say anything. So we're seeing, they someone like Jerod Mayo, who's been around forever, never got formal media training, and it trickles down. It's not like.
Well, I think Stacey did like meet with players. I'm sure he probably still does.
Maybe players, but staff-wise, Bill's guys knew the drill. Like Josh knew the drill.
Right.
Like
I don't know for sure.
The drill.
Yeah.
And you just follow Bill's lead, and he tells you what to do. But Bill would say stuff. I mean, we've seen it in mic'd up things after the game, like his brief little post game before the media gets in there. Don't tell him anything. Like don't acknowledge this. Blah blah blah. Like it was understood what wasn't talked about and how things were addressed. And you could. What did everyone say? If you went to a defensive coordinator or a defensive end when things were going bad and asked them a probing question, what would they say?
That's a head coaching question.
Exactly.
You got to ask Bill.
That has been removed from the equation, and everyone's just sort of scampering. It's not good.
Yeah, and I mean, my next point on here was why are the players better at addressing the media than the coaches are? And I've thought about this a little bit, and someone made the point. I don't know who it was. It might have been Teddy Bruschi, might have been someone else, but I think they said that Jerod is speaking to the media like he's a player. So maybe that's my issue too, is that like maybe the coaches are just speaking to us like they're players and just kind of passing the buck, passing the blame, or just like trying to defend themselves. And if a player does that, it doesn't really mean the same thing. Like Devon Godshaw, I feel like has done that a few times this year where he's like, I even asked him after the game last week what happened on those big plays. He was like, well, I wasn't out on the field for most of them. I was like, okay. Like, but like if a coach said that, you'd be like, whoa, that's wild. So maybe coaches are just, maybe Mayo is a player, which he was. And maybe like the coaches are just learning how to speak to the media through Mayo, and Mayo speaking to us like he's a player, and that's the divide. I don't know. Maybe that's the issue.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's not good. I think it stems back to people that have been here. And you made the point that Van Pelt talks differently because he's not a Bill guy. Whereas
Right. Yeah.
your Bill guys,
Van Pelt just knows how to do it.
right.
But, and then guys like,
Former player.
let's say like Brian Belichick, he's a Belichick. He speaks to the media like his dad. Mike Pellegrino, Belichick guy. Still, I would say like he's loosened up a little bit, but still largely speaks like a Bill coach, where some of these other guys don't. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We've talked like for 30 minutes about how people speak to the media, and I don't even know how much people care. I think they do because they get
Well,
fired up on Twitter about it. But it does matter. The messaging matters.
that's what I was going to say. It does matter because
Yeah.
you are the face of the franchise. You are, for better or worse, the representative that publicly represents the franchise on a
Right.
day-to-day basis. I mean, Mayo talks Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah. Plus the radio thing on Sunday, so twice on Sundays.
Did you just get a thumbs up? You didn't see
I
that?
No.
You just had a bubble pop up in your window with it was like a balloon.
Oh, weird. I hit mute. Did that do it? No.
Nope.
I don't know. Interesting.
Nope.
Interesting. All right. So I do want to talk about Mayo because obviously the big question this week has been about job security. I'm still like, we got 3 games left. We'll see what really happens with this. But like, I think the way that I want to approach this is, what would you want to see out of the last 3 games where you would feel comfortable like ensuring that Mayo's back?
I will answer your question, but I want to note there seems to have been a significant weight on the team coming out of a bye in that spot and playing as poorly as they did.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the turn, and I don't know how powerful it is or how impactful it is. I know some people out there think the media decide these things, like the media fired Bill Belichick. I have noticed a complete change.
Well, you did that, right?
Jonathan did call me up and was like, "Hey, man, you're a media member. I trust your opinion. I trust your opinion more than anyone else's. Should I fire Bill Belichick?" And I was like, "Yes."
Go ahead.
I called the code red. No, but I do think the conversation around Bill Belichick, around Jerod Mayo and his job status has shifted dramatically this week, just in terms of writers, in terms of radio, in terms of TV. It's all anyone's talked about. And I think it stems from, all right, you had the reset week. You played a pretty bad Cardinals team that was reeling.
Yeah.
And you played like ass. You know, there's no way to put it. They made it look nice toward the end, sort of, but not really. So I think if it gets worse, that's when the job status becomes perilous, I would say. If they come out and no one expects them to beat the Bills, but if they don't look like they belong in the same league as the Bills, that noise that started this week will snowball. So
yeah,
the flip side of that, which is what you asked, I guess you'd like to see, how's this for like, it's not a cop-out answer.
Yeah.
Something. Anything. Something that says, okay,
yeah,
Jerod Mayo, you have done something that I can tangibly see
right,
as a positive for the New England Patriots, because thus far, what is there? What is on that
Right.
list? And we've been
Yeah.
saying that for months.
Right.
And it's probably realistically too late for that to just magically start happening. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There have been, in terms of the in-game mechanics, it's almost like what, win a challenge or make a good fourth down decision, things like that. I think that ship has
Right.
kind of sailed. There's nothing he could do there that makes you think, okay, he's a heck of a coach. Keep him around forever. I just think it's more about the overall leadership and direction of the team. If they go down and lose ugly and
Mm-hmm.
then come home on a short week and get blown out by the Chargers, I think that's where it would be really dangerous in a way that I don't think any of us expected it to be.
Yeah, because it's almost unfair to expect them to win one of these 2 games. Surely we'll see what happens in that last game against the Bills, which, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe they do wind up playing Mitchell Trubisky, and then I don't even know how to handle that. Like, if the Patriots win that game, or if they just appear more competitive in that game, like
Trubisky almost beat the Patriots when they were good. So
it's. But in this first game against the Bills and this game against the Chargers, I do feel like you just can't really have a repeat of those games against the Cardinals, of that
yeah,
game against the Cardinals, like, because I guess you could kind of point to those 2 scoring drives at the end as like something, that being something, but it's too little too late. It's
and
essentially in garbage time.
they were answered the other way, where your
Right.
defense got lit up the other way to make them meaningless. I think
Yeah.
you want to, if you see something like a zero blitz go for a 75-yard touchdown on a slant, that would be an issue. Like if there's
Right.
repeated mistakes, things we've seen time and time again, it's not like, I don't know, a receiver dropping a pass and having a turnover. We're not going to be
Right.
like, come
No,
on,
absolutely
Mayo.
not. Yeah.
So there are layers to it, but I
Yeah.
think ultimately it would be hard for him to dig out of this given the opponents in the schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they could probably keep it relatively close against the Chargers. This Bills game truly does feel like it's going to be like a 50-17 type affair. Like, I know that maybe the cold
Yeah.
combats that a little bit. Maybe that like slows down the Bills a little bit, but like the Bills are so good and the Patriots are so bad that like it just, they haven't had one of those games really this year. And it
Yeah.
truly does feel like it could be one of those games with the Patriots, which really I think would be a worst case scenario, obviously, for Jerod Mayo. So I think like keeping it relatively close, like covering the spread, like even might be
Yeah.
enough, you know?
Yeah. I think that would be one thing. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself with this, but I can't stop my brain because I was thinking, the Patriots might have a little edge in week 17 in that it's a short week and Christmas and cross country travel.
Do you know who
But
it's not a short week
I
for?
was just thinking those Chargers are playing right now.
I'm
So it's
staring at them.
not a short week for them. And I was like, which head coach, if you were to list power rank the 32 NFL head coaches, which one's going to make them go to work on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day? It's probably Jim Harbaugh. So
Yeah.
I
Doesn't
do
even let
believe
them eat chicken. Make them practice.
I do believe my initial thought was wrong. When's the last time the Patriots won in Buffalo or played well in Buffalo?
Could not tell you.
They lost last year, 27-21. That wasn't the kick return game. That was 2 years ago.
I'm horrendous at
Jeez.
remembering individual games.
Yeah. Last year,
Horrendous at it.
2 years ago was when the Bills had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. Remember?
I do. Yep. I guess say I
That,
do.
and then 2020. Oh, they won obviously the win game in 2021. That was the last time they won there. That was not a real football game though.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
they haven't won a real football game there since 2019.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a tough place.
It has been a tough place. Oh, this isn't on our list, but how do you feel about the Drake May Josh Allen comparisons?
I did this Monday. I'm past it because Josh Allen was terrible as a rookie. He couldn't
Yeah.
hit a receiver with a pass. He was, huge. That was his thing. He had a rocket arm.
Yeah.
I think if we're comparing rookies, and I know the thing is today, long way to go. Yeah, duh. Like you're talking about the NFL MVP.
Yeah.
If you were to compare the player at this stage of the career, and
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up now. How old was Josh Allen as a rookie?
22.
Okay.
Drake May's 22.
10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. a 67.9 passer rating.
He completed like 52% of his passes, I think, right?
He completed 52.8% of his passes. And again, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Maye has 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Half of his interceptions are his receivers' faults, and he has nobody that can catch touchdowns. So
Josh Allen, I will say, rushed for 8 touchdowns as a rookie, but the Patriots don't let Drake Maye run the ball, so that's not a fair comparison.
Right. I mean, Drake Maye as a runner has looked great.
Yeah, and I think that he probably won't have 8 rushing touchdowns this season if they used him as a design runs, but like they'd probably be better in the red zone if they let him do that, and he would have more than 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be a psychotic rusher like Josh Allen. He looks more. He might
be. He might be safer. Yeah, I think that's fair.
He looks fluid. He looks fast. He runs when it's the right time.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna be like trying to hurdle guys. Yeah,
he kind of has thrown his shoulder into safeties and linebackers. We forget he got a concussion.
Well, that was sliding.
Right, but he has thrown his body around recklessly. I don't know. I watched Josh Allen do that, and every time he does it, I'm like, he's taking years off his career. Like we saw late stage Cam Newton couldn't throw screen passes. So I don't know. I think he's maybe not as crazy of a runner, but he's a very good runner. Yeah. I think he's got more accuracy. He's got great poise. So like, I get it. I'm not saying he's going to be better than Josh Allen 5 years from now, but I don't think it's out of place at all to do the comparison right now because he's better than him as a rookie.
I agree with that. And yeah, I just agree. I think it's very fair. Like Drake Maye doesn't necessarily have Josh Allen's frame, but I'm also not sure how much that matters if he's not going to be as reckless with his body as Josh Allen is. He's obviously got the same speed. He's able to make tight window throws with his arm. He's got a strong arm. And there's a case to be made. It might not be a strong one. This might be like a dumb thing to say.
Sure.
Maye might already be more accurate than Josh Allen.
Like the Josh Allen accuracy. Now?
Yeah.
He might be.
Like at least it's close. At least it's close, I'd say.
I do want to say it's important because we know the status of the Patriots receiving corps. Do you know who Josh Allen was throwing to his rookie year? Who was leading target by almost double was?
Was it Beasley?
He was still in Dallas.
Wow.
This was a long time ago.
Andre Reed. No, I have no idea.
No. So the second most targeted player on the team was Kelvin Benjamin with 62 targets. He had 23 catches on 62 targets. Not good.
There's some Jalen Polk numbers.
So that's 62 targets. The leader in targets had 102, and it was Zay Jones.
Wow. Oh, my God.
He caught 56 of those 102 targets. Now, granted, the quarterback was not very accurate. So you had second-year Zay Jones. You had Kelvin Benjamin on his big money deal that never panned out. LaShawn McCoy was the third most targeted.
Okay.
Robert Foster
at receiver. Him, Alabama guy.
You had 2 tight ends in Charles Clay and Jason Kroom, and then you had a young Isaiah McKenzie. That was your receiving corps. So kudos to Josh Allen, but he also couldn't hit a barnyard back then.
No, it was he was very inaccurate at that point. So no, I think they're fair make. Whoa, what's happening? What just happened? You're making a bunch of noise.
Oh boy.
I think Michael, the desk fell apart. Mike fell down.
Oh.
Now he's buzzing.
I'm gonna mute myself. You talk.
It's my turn to talk. No, I think that it's fair to make those comparisons. As Michael said, Drake Maye has been better as a rookie than Josh Allen was. And I don't know, it's tough to say who had the better team around him, the better supporting cast. It's certainly the receivers were probably sounded like they were about as bad as the Patriots this season. But overall, I think that Drake Maye has proven that he's got a very, very, very high ceiling. And I don't think it's not crazy to say that a quarterback could be as good as Josh Allen. Josh Allen's great, but it's not like you're comparing him to Tom Brady or someone.
Got to agree with you. Got a great point.
I was just talking shit the whole time. Just kidding.
I leaned over I have a little heater. I went to shut it off. One thing is if you have headphones connected to a microphone, it will all fall.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, and we're getting ahead of ourselves here, so I don't want this to be long. There's a high potential for the last 2 games of the season to be like ugly from a fan reaction standpoint. If they're bad, if the Patriots are losing bad, like there could be like chance about telling the Crafts what they want to do after the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's who's gonna go. That is a
Right.
big question, which won't look great if the building's empty and you have the
Mhm.
Chargers. The Chargers game, it's tricky because on one hand, Saturday at 1 is a pretty good window for human beings to go to Gillette without anything else,
Yeah.
but it's also, like, moving it so soon, people do have plans, so
Yeah.
you're disrupting some of that. I don't know. I don't know if it's people sort of set aside Sunday to go to these games.
That might be like that might be the emptiest the stadium is because I don't know if you know this. The Chargers don't have a lot of fans,
That was always gonna be an issue.
and the Chargers fans that do exist, I don't think are going to travel 3,000 miles across the country
No.
days after Christmas.
There will be more kids from New England wearing Herbert jerseys than there will be Chargers fans flying from LA. Like,
Yeah, and
that
I don't think that there's a lot of like Chargers fan transplants living in New England, you
no,
know?
they're not real in that sense. So, that is an issue, and then week 18, I mean, it's like, look at last year, week 18, the weather was gross and nobody went, so that's a big factor. If it's randomly 50, I'm sure people will show up, but the point is, will there be chance? I don't know that it'll be organized enough. The worst thing we've heard there is booze, like, going to halftime.
Yeah,
I don't know, and I'm not dissing anyone's intelligence. It's just hard to organize chants.
that's
But
fair. They're not wrestling fans.
yeah, there's going to be some disgust, and it's going to be not pretty. And the fact that you get, man, a national window this week, followed by a national window next week.
So
You're,
is it I know it's a 425 game, but like what are the maps saying about this?
I'll get you a map, but I got to make sure I don't knock my microphone off
I
the
got a
thing.
map. I got a map. I'm pulling up a map. So it's CBS. Oh man, holy cow! Like the entire goddamn country's getting this game. Wow, it's basically like from Montana down to New Mexico, and all the way down to Texas,
Yeah.
and then like
Everybody
wraps
but
around.
everybody but Indiana, Ohio, the Southeast, and the West.
Yeah, wow. Oh my God, poor America. Um,
Yeah, enjoy that
yeah,
game out in Sioux Falls.
wow, that
So
is something.
it's too. I mean, it's not a Nance game, so they won't get Nance. They get Eagle and Charles Davis, but that's a big spot. And then to go national the next week on a Saturday, I don't know.
I mean that's the only game happening at that point. So yeah, everyone has to watch that.
It's a very skippable game though. Like I remember last
Yeah.
year,
Oh
I
yeah.
was at like my daughter's karate class watching
Right.
the Bengals on my phone. It was
Yep.
like kind of people will kind of watch that. I think it's going to be ugly, and
Yeah.
that's when probably ownership would prefer not to be on the national window. So I don't know. You said the last 2 weeks. I'd throw this week in there too because if the did you see the Bills
Well,
last week? By the way,
this week's game is not in New England. Not sure if you know that.
no, I know that, but just
Yeah.
the whole country will be watching.
No, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It stood out that I told you I watched the Patriots game after the fact on DVR.
Yeah.
The Patriots game ended and there was 15 minutes left in the Bills game because they were scoring so many points.
Yeah, that game went by fast, the Patriots Cardinals game.
So you got a Bills team that scored 48 against the Lions and granted the Lions have that's the only chance that it's not bad is if the Bills have a letdown because they're playing the Patriots. That's the only chance. If they come out and they're like fired up and somehow still hate the Patriots like they used to,
Yeah.
nasty stuff.
They're going to be dressing like the Patriots too. I don't know if you saw that. They're wearing their red jerseys, white pants, white helmets.
It's messed up.
They're just crapping all over them. You got to take on Mike Vrabel.
Yes, because the conversation has turned to Vrabel would want to. Vrabel would bring McDaniels. Vrabel. I have two reasons that Mike Vrabel should not be the next head coach of the Patriots. And I even took notes. That's how prepared I was. This is a rarity. Well, first, like I feel like everyone's forgetting this because he came here in 2019 and beat the Patriots and is a big badass, was a badass player, all these things, right? He was fired by the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans were like, you know what, Mike Vrabel, take a hike. We'll find someone better. Oh, we found someone better. His name's Brian Callahan. We did it. Get out of here. There's that. His best season was when Derrick Henry was the best running back in the history of the earth. And he also decided Ryan Tannehill was a better option than Tom Brady. So there are multiple red flags, I would say. But the bigger thing is you get a defensive head coach like you have now. I'm not saying you can't win with a defensive head coach sometimes. He's going to have to get an offensive coordinator. And McDaniels might be an outlier because he's probably done getting head coaching opportunities. But the tenor of the league now is if you're good as an offensive coordinator for 5 minutes, you leave to get a head coaching job.
Right.
And I have a list. Are you ready for the list? It's not a comprehensive list, but it's long. Mike McDaniel was OC for 1 year and got a head coaching job. Granted, he was the run game coordinator for a couple of years.
Right.
Kevin Stefanski was an OC for 1 year with the Vikings, got a head coaching job. Dave Canales was an OC for 1 year with the Bucks. They ranked 20th in points and 23rd in yards. Yet the Panthers were like head coach. He was OC for 1 year, and they were bottom third offense, and he got a head coaching job. Matt LaFleur was an OC for 2 years, once with the Rams, once with the Titans, got a head coaching job. Shane Steichen was an OC for 3 years, 2 of which were in Philly, got the head coaching job. Kevin O'Connell was an OC for 3 years, 1 year with Washington, 2 years with the Rams, boom, he's gone. McVay himself, the godfather of them all, OC for 3 years, then he leave. Kingsbury right now is thriving with Daniels. He'll be gone in a year if this continues to go well, because that's how it goes. Zach Taylor, OC for 2 years, was a QB's coach in 2018 and then got a head coaching job. Like the era of guys being good offensive coordinators for a while is over because teams are so desperate to get the next offensive mind as their head coach. So let's say Vrabel comes and he's good and he gets a great OC who does really well with Drake Maye and thinks they're gangbusters. A year or two, that guy's gone. And then you're going to need a constant replenishment of offensive coordinators, where if you look at guys like McVay being stable, like Zach Taylor being stable, Dable, if he keeps his job, it shows the value of having an offensive-minded head coach that as good as Vrabel might be and as much as a badass as he might be, et cetera, offense is kind of what matters now. And if you need to constantly cycle that OC, I don't see that being an effective long-term strategy. End of point.
Those are compelling points. I do think that, like McDaniels, like you said, would be an outlier where I don't think that he would get another opportunity right away, if ever. If I'm an NFL team, I'm probably not rushing to hire Josh McDaniels as a head coach. So there could be something there. I would also point to a team like the Bills, where they've had a lot of success and they've rifled through offensive coordinators for one reason or another. And that hasn't hurt Josh Allen. It hasn't hurt their success. Have they won a Super Bowl? No. But no one really has, because the Chiefs just keep winning Super Bowls. So it's a compelling case.
Another offensive-minded head coach there in Kansas City has worked out well.
For sure. Kind of.
I know they have different OCs,
but yeah, and they've had different OCs, and it hasn't really mattered. But you still have Andy Reid up there. I do think that, like, I don't know. Obviously, Vrabel would be a culture builder. I would point to the fact that he was able to make the playoffs and have a winning record with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, which is not the easiest thing to do, given a quarterback like Drake Maye.
Ryan Tannehill with his quarterback. Who stood behind Ryan Tannehill during those? Derrick Henry.
Well, no, that's true. But like Tannehill wasn't asked to do nothing. He was a pretty productive player at the time.
The 2019 Titans were the 2001 Patriots so much. Like they reminded. They played defense. They ran well. Their quarterback did enough.
So you don't want Bill Belichick as the head coach? You don't want the next? No, I don't know. I think that Vrabel is a very good head coach. One thing I think is that the Patriots should, whenever, move on from the head coach. Probably conduct actual interviews. Might be a good idea.
Yeah, and I would. Probably extend that to the front office too, because I have not been blown away by the work of anything that's happened there. And again, it was sort of like, well, you're here, so you could stay and keep doing that if you want.
Yeah, I know I'm not the biggest. I know people aren't a fan of this take, but I don't think you can fire GM after 1 year.
Probably
Like,
not. But is
you don't even know what like Bill Belichick said in April that you can't judge a draft class for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, and then we've seen multiple times GMs get fired after the draft because of the whole like difficulties of the off seasons. I'm with you theoretically.
I mean, you got a 3rd-round pick for Matthew Judon. That worked out well. And I know we were talking about guys like Chukwuekorfor earlier. Yeah, not a great sign that he straight up just left the team. I don't think he really liked what was being built. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily an Elliott Wolf problem. It might be more of a coaching problem there, but I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know.
I guess to the same thing we say, like, what is Mayo good at? What has Wolf really been good at? I guess he's had more hits than Mayo.
I mean,
but
I know no one wants to give him credit for Drake Maye.
I don't want to go crazy with that. That's all. I would say look at the rest of the draft. I mean, both receivers right now have done nothing in a year where you needed a receiver.
Yeah.
And a tackle who has done nothing. Granted, it's an injury, but he was also a right tackle, and you're like, he can play anything. Didn't you guys ask Caden Wallace in like training camp about that? And he was like, I don't know if I can play over there or something like that. Like what they said about him.
I know we're already running along on this. I just want to say sometimes the media is not wrong about things.
Yeah.
And when they signed Chukwuekorfor and drafted Caden Wallace, and we're like, yeah, we believe that one of these guys can play left tackle. And all of us were like, but can they? Like, do we know that? What if they can't? And then when they can't, it's like, oh, well, guess we were right about that. And I don't want to toot my own horn too much because we didn't have this podcast at the time. And I'm trying to find evidence of me saying this. I think it's probably on Callahan's podcast or something like that. But I remember having so many conversations during training camp with people who were like, oh, we know the defense is going to be good. And I kept going like, do we know that? They lost Bill Belichick. They lost Steve Belichick. Like they lost the greatest defensive head coach of all time.
Right.
And their play caller. And we're just assuming that they can replace those guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if we know that.
Well,
did I think they would be 30th? No. I just wasn't convinced that they would be top 5 or top 10.
If you said it on Callahan's podcast and nobody heard it. Oh
wow.
I want to start a podcast beef.
Fired.
Who else can we start a beef with? Chris Sims.
Mass Live guy. We're back. We'll have to edit that for the show, which is not ideal, but what are you gonna do?
It's all right.
All right. Did we talk about Vrabel enough?
I think so.
I think he's gonna be a head coach. I think he's gonna be a good head coach.
Yeah, I think the defensive thing and the need for an OC guy is like, let's say you got to go to OC and then you get a second one in year 2, and then by year 3 or 4, Drake Maye's on another one. It's just not ideal. Whereas if you can have, I know everyone's salivating over Ben Johnson. No, you're not probably going to get him, but offensive, that's the way the league's going. That's where you can find stability if you get the right guy. Obviously, you get the wrong guy, not so much.
I don't want to play devil's advocate fully here, but I will say like Dolphins are 6-8. Bengals are 6-8. Browns are 3-11. Colts are 6-8. Jacksonville is 3-11. They fired.
I'm not saying. I didn't mean to say that.
Titans are 3-11. Brian Callahan.
Who could have seen that coming with Callahan? I'm not saying you get the offensive guy, you win. I'm saying if you go defensive, if your offensive coordinator is good, he's going to leave you. And that's where the issue is going to be, where you're going to take 2 steps forward and then.
I do want to continue this exercise real quick. The Giants are 2-12.
Yep.
Vikings 12-2. Kevin O'Connell. Packers 10-4. So that's 2 plus Andy Reid, obviously. And then
Chargers are good.
Chargers are good.
Broncos are good.
Broncos. I mean, those are no. I mean, no. It's a good point.
You need a legacy offensive coach. Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton.
Yeah, even Kyle Shanahan's struggling this year, 6-8.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, yeah, there's certainly something to that. All right, real quick. You have a last minute Christmas gift hack?
Oh yeah. So I think if you know anyone out there that likes Metallica or any other bands and you want to get them a t-shirt, you might be able to get them a deal on eBay. Because I learned, there's bands that I've loved my whole life, like Metallica and like Blink, where I've had like no merchandise ever because just like their aesthetic doesn't match mine, you know?
Right.
Against Me is another one. I don't think I have any Against Me shirts because they don't match me.
Right.
And so I was at Metallica this year twice, as you might know. And I bought a shirt both nights and got home and I was just like, it's like a ghoul. It's like a ghoul with a skull and like words.
Yeah.
And the other one's like a hell demon. So I was like, I'm not going to wear these. So I went, put it on eBay. I'm like, it's a concert shirt. I paid $40 for it. It was never worn, like blah, blah, blah. Sold for like $20. So good score by the guy in Washington. The guy in Washington just scored a half price concert tee. So look out there. You never know what's out there. Maybe there'll be another Metallica shirt on soon. So
just scour Hurley's eBay account and maybe.
I went to the post office and I was like, I need to mail this. She's like, do you need to expedite? I'm like, no, no, I don't. I never know how to ship anything.
I'm wearing a Terror hoodie right now. I'm a big merch guy myself.
Nice. It's always a relief when you go to a show and you don't want the shirts. You're like, yes.
Yeah, I know. I always want them when I go. I gotta make sure it's in the right brand, all those things. I tried Taco Bell nuggets tonight. Chicken nuggets. Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty solid. They have 3 fun sauces. Jalapeno honey mustard, pretty good. The Bell sauce, not great. Fire ranch, pretty good. Try the Taco Bell nuggets. They're pretty good.
Sponsor? Should we call Taco Bell's offices tomorrow?
Boom, 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 boom.
I saw the video of the boom guy in the wild filming at like a fast food place with just people around, just like, so
when something gets 5 booms, it takes too long. Like it's like such a process to do 5 booms. And then you want to talk about I haven't seen Yellowstone, but you want to talk about Yellowstone.
Yeah. So it was a very popular show. So I'm sure some of our listeners listen, but even if you didn't watch Yellowstone, this is a fascinating thing that happened. It just ended. The series ended. We think they didn't really announce it. They made a mess of it. Kevin Costner had to go do his stupid Western movie and missed out. And then so basically there was a ego fight between the creator Taylor Sheridan and Kevin Costner, the star, and they've created like multiple offshoots. So I think Taylor Sheridan was like, you know what? I'm bigger than Kevin Costner. He's nothing to me.
Yeah.
So that is a long story, but what you had was an 8 episode season to end it all. And what Taylor Sheridan, this show used to be good. Like season 1 was good. Taylor Sheridan's done good stuff. Hell or High Water, Sakara.
Yeah. I really
Wind River.
Yeah. Like the first and third ones though are great. Yeah.
He's done great stuff.
Yeah.
And the first season of Yellowstone was like, what if we did what we know is like the Italian mafia, but it's like a Montana rancher?
Yeah.
Cool idea.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, but it was a good show. And it just slowly just devolved into crap. And so what Taylor Sheridan did was he wrote in his own character of himself. And he was just this big, strong, muscly guy who was basically like having parties with like naked women. And
he sounds so cool.
And like being like, something Hadid, Bella Hadid was like his girlfriend in the show. He was shirtless in the pool, like flexing, like being just this like macho man. Everyone in the last episode was sitting around as he told stories, and they were like, "Oh, Travis, you're so cool and strong and hip." And I've never seen anything. It'd be like if Scorsese wrote himself into the end of a movie to be like the unlikely hero. And it was just so bad.
Now there's a cool guy.
You've been watching this show for 8 years. You like all the characters. How about me? So
that's great.
It was a wild ending. It was pure crap. A lot of people haven't seen it because it was only on cable. But as an elderly man, I have cable. Yeah, so I was able to watch it.
I took a red-eye home flight from Arizona, and I desperately wanted to sleep, but it was only like a 4-hour flight, so I didn't want to get into the whole like NyQuil at whatever. So I on the flight literally put on that Kevin Costner Western because I was like, this will probably make me fall asleep. And it eventually accomplished the goal, I would say. So
yeah,
it seemed good, but my only goal in putting it on was to fall asleep.
I've been curious to watch that. Did you know? Here's a fun fact, because as you know, I'm a Shawshank Redemption viewer.
Oh yeah, big time.
In the year 2024, I finally saw it, and I was doing some reading about it. Did you know Kevin Costner and Tom Hanks were approached for the lead role, played by Tim Robbins? Tom Hanks was busy filming a movie called Forrest Gump, so that worked
Yep.
out for him. Kevin Costner turned it down so that he could film Waterworld.
Waterworld.
So you have one of considered maybe the best movie of all time and the worst movie of all time. Two roads diverged in the yellow wood, and that happened.
Wow. He should have taken it. I don't know if he would have been as good as Tim Robbins. I think Tom Hanks probably would have been. I don't know how Kevin Costner would have been in that role.
Some things just work out, you know?
I'm trying to figure out if I need to use this pee popping screen thing or not, because I feel like I've been popping some of my peas. Maybe we'll see. I thought this was funny. We'll end on this. East Side Boston Pats fan left a comment on our show and said, "Love how the media helped run Belichick out of town because he hurt their feelings. Maybe media members are not the football experts they say they are."
Was he not listening when I definitely said Jonathan called me and asked if he should fire Bill, and I said, yes, Jonathan, thank you for consulting with me. I appreciate it.
Listen, like, you can blame I personally, and I'm pretty sure I'm on record about this on podcasts or whatever, was of the opinion that the Patriots shouldn't fire Bill Belichick. So don't come to me on this one.
All I said was, excuse me, we're both burping over here. We're both on the fire.
One of us is burping.
There are 0 head coaches in the history of the universe that would have survived the hiring Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator season. 0. He was given another chance because he is Bill Belichick, and that second chance turned into a mess. You're hearing he wasn't talking to Bill O'Brien at all toward the second half of the season because O'Brien was, I don't remember where I saw that. It was on Twitter. There was a report that
I did
O'Brien,
not see that. I cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah, there was something else going on that day, and that one kind of slipped through, or it was a fake account and I got duped, one or the other. But we know Mayo and Belichick weren't talking, and it's like it was a bad, dysfunctional situation with the greatest head coach of all time. He got an extra year or two of leeway because of the leash that he had earned over obviously 2 decades, and it moved on. And were they wrong? Because there's been 6 openings last year, another 6 this year. Nobody wants him. You know, he's at the University of North Carolina coaching the Tar Heels. So it was not us. That's all I'd say. It was Bill that got Bill removed from the situation.
I truly do not believe the media fired Bill Belichick because
I don't know. Like Phil's very shifty. I'm going to start more feuds. Who fired Bill? Phil definitely was in there with the Crafts. He's just so respectable. Like, Phil comes across like all-American.
I think it was Dan Roach and Bob Sosi.
Oh yeah, definitely them. They were leading the charge. Broomsticks.
Yeah.
Broomsticks?
Yeah.
Torches? I don't know.
No, not pitchforks. Not broomsticks.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Yeah, no, we didn't do that. I think, if you go radio, but radio fires everyone every day. That's just how it goes.
There's a difference between radio and, let's call it, like, print media or whatever.
Right.
Got to understand that.
Right.
All right. I think we're good. I think we talked a lot about the Patriots, and we'll have to edit out a bunch of nonsense in the middle.
I might put it just at the beginning.
What was that?
I might just put it at the beginning, and that'll be how we start. 3 minutes must be like, hello?
That's being like,
hello?
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear us? Yeah. What's going on? Do you hear me? Call me.
I was trying to call you so you could put me on your phone through your microphone.
Smart. Yeah.
However, as soon as I hit your name and it dialed, you heard me again.
Yeah, it was magic. The magic of Christmas. All right. We will talk to you guys again. I think we decided on Monday next week, unless something truly crazy happens that game against the Bills, because it got flexed to 4:25, which means that our recording time gets pushed back. And
do you want to do it?
Know this.
Should we say it? We're doing media talk. Those 4:30 games, man, brutal.
Brutal. Overall, and I guess I will say, like, since now writing for a newspaper, it is tougher because now there's like a deadline that I have to get all my stuff in by, and it just makes it tougher. But I'm going to live. No one's going to feel bad for me.
I won't.
It's still a fun job.
I won't name anyone, just not that it's like criminal or anything, but I have those night games, that 8:15, 8:20 games, been in the locker room, talking to whoever it might be from a newspaper, and them just being like, yeah, well, we're past deadline, so I have nothing. I'm just here because I'm here. So
Just here to, yeah, that makes sense. All right. I'll talk to you later. Good to talk to you. Bye, everyone.